Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. It's Leah. I am kicking off the new year with a 12 by 12 layout share. This is going to be about my birthday. My 36th birthday was at the end of January, and I had a really great time out with my girlfriend. It's going to be the last good time out for a long time because my schedule is going to get crazy, about which I will talk about in a subsequent layout share. Some really big things are happening with my family. But you know, I mean, you scrapbook the good and the bad, the happy and the sad, right? But right now, the happy. Oh, what you're seeing right here is a cropper, and I'll show you how to make one in another video, a quick video later. I got it out of an old scrapbook book that I used to use, and it just helps me to figure out if I want to cut down my pictures any further before I actually cut them. I kind of look and see, okay, how far do I want to go in before I do. And I marked it, and then I was like, oh, I have these frames. The frames are, and my embellishments, I believe, are all Maggie Holmes open book collection. And they, so those are the frames. And then the paper is pink Paisley Memorandum, which I got as a hot buy at Michael's. I think it's still available right now. So if you like the paper, go out and try to find it. Yeah, so I had these frames, and I choose not to use this frame, actually. I'm going to use another one. But I didn't like the way the blue looked against the blue in the cuff of my jacket. Aside from the pattern papers that you see there are from the pink Paisley, and the pink and the gold are recollections papers from the open stock area at Michael's. Okay, so at this point, I changed my mind. I think I want to use this pattern frame instead. I just like the way it goes with everything else, and I like the idea of cropping the picture more square. It was the way I kind of originally had wanted to do it, so I was really, as you could see when I used the cropper. So, yeah, I was really happy to switch it out to this frame. I love the Maggie Holmes open book, by the way. The embellishments are just so cute and pretty. And, you know, I'm really becoming a pink person, guys. I mean, look at this. Look at this paper. It's lavender. When have you ever seen me use anything lavender? So, you know, I wanted something very cheery and bright. You know, I didn't want to feel like, oh, I'm 36. Like, no, I'm 36. It's like kind of good, and I think I look good for my age. You know, so I really wanted the papers to be very bright and chipper and celebratory, instead of being like kind of, you know, my usual like brownie papers. Yeah. So, I'm also learning. You see the way I'm cutting my paper just so carefully. I'm trying in the new year to also be a little bit more conserving with the way that I cut my paper. Usually I just hack it apart, and I'm like, later I'm like, oh, I wish I had more of that paper. So now I'm being a little more careful about how much I use. I love this stripe. I love the play of the vertical stripe with the vertical stripes in my shirt in the picture. I'm just going to cut down some of the paper because there was too much lavender, and I already had lavender in that paper that I mounted the frame on. So I just wanted to take some of it out. And as I'm going, I start looking. I thought I had frames. The second picture I printed in a 3x4 as opposed to 4x6. And I thought I had a frame, and I didn't. So what I decided to do is just cut down the white in the paper so it looks more like when you get a printout and it's got that little bit of white frame. And then I'm going to layer up a bunch of papers in thin frames around it. I love that recollections paper. That paper comes in so many colors. It's called linen. So if you go to the open stock area at Michael's, you can find that linen paper in so many colors. It has a beautiful texture to it, just like linen cloth. And I find that it's heavy, but it's not like too heavy. So and it has a really nice texture, and I like that about it. I also really love these triangles. I thought I was originally going to cut a bunch of them out and place them all over the page, and then I don't know why I changed my mind. I just didn't end up doing it. I think the page just got a little bit crowded, maybe. I don't even remember why I didn't do it. I think I just plain forgot that that's the way I was going, and I just started going. Yeah, I decided to also use gold to kind of link the pictures together, but just a little bit, because I found that like I was going to do the whole layout on the gold paper, and it was just a little overwhelming when I started planning, and I was like, okay, that's too much. Maybe I'll just use a little bit here, a little bit there. So that's what I did. There's also a gold frame, and you'll see it later on a picture, another picture that I use. And I decided not to use it, just because, again, the layout was just, I think, getting a little crowded, and I wanted to clean it up. And you'll see when I decide to, like, clean up the picture, because it looks a bit messy. Yeah. I had a lot of fun on my birthday. My best friend took me to IKEA and we went and we hung out. And I got new chairs for my kitchen because we desperately needed some. Afterwards, I went to Pasta, which is a restaurant that I love to eat at. It's phenomenal food, so good. So I really enjoy eating there with my parents. I think this is like the second time I've gone on my birthday to eat there with them, but we eat there all the time. And they serve a calamari dish with sesame seeds and this like kind of ginger like duck sauce something dipping sauce. It's so good. Yeah, so that's where we went after dinner, and then I went home and hung out with the boys. After I glued this down, I realized I only glued it in the center, and I didn't want the frame like flopping around on the gold. I just didn't like it. I thought it was just looked like not unfinished. So I went back and I pulled the piece up and I glued it back down. As you can see, I'm trying to be really careful about how I'm cutting my paper. I love that gold paper. I want to be able to use the rest of it. So I'm trying to like be very, very, very conservative. What do I get next? Okay. This was some tile that I found at Lowe's the same day. My girlfriend, we went to IKEA, but then we also went to Lowe's, and I loved this tile, and I was like, oh, I want to build a tiny house and I want to put this tile in there. And that's one of the reasons we went out. We went to look and start sourcing to try and maybe build a little tiny house for me to use as a photo studio and scrapbooking room that I could have with me, because I have no space in my condo anymore. It's just crazy. But I ended up not using that photo. I salvaged the frame too because I really love it. That bottle picture that you see on the right, I couldn't get the label off of the champagne bottle, and that's from the topper, and I knew I wanted to use that somehow, so I saved the foil wrap that closes the champagne bottle, and I loved when I pulled off the part. When I bought it, I just slipped the whole part off so I could specifically do exactly what I did, which was peel the part that you peel off and use it as an embellishment. So I was really happy that worked out the way it did. I'm going to start pulling out my flares. This is, again, Maggie Holmes. I'm not sure that this is open book, but I bought it at the same time as I bought my open book stuff. So, I mean, it doesn't say what it is, but it works really well with it. But there's a button on there, a flare button that says hello. And these stickers are from the Celebrate collection. And I'm going to pull the sticker out that says birthday. That card is We Are Member Keepers Simply Happy. I think that's what it's called, Simply Happy. And I knew I wanted to use a card for journaling, and I loved the triangles that kind of went with that triangle paper. And I put the birthday sticker on there just to ground that sticker, so it felt like it was part of the layout and not just like, I didn't want to stick it anywhere else. I really wanted to, at first I was having a really hard time figuring out how I wanted to lay out the layout. And I decided when all else fails, I always go back to doing this kind of 4 square thing, where I lay out 4 squares and then I use embellishments to take you all the way around the page in a kind of counterclockwise motion. And the word sweet I thought was great. That worked out really well because that champagne was very sweet. It was like, I mean, you can't call it champagne if it's not from Champagne, district of France. But it's sparkling wine, whatever, same thing. But it was very, very sweet, which I'm not sure that I enjoyed it or not, like as far as like how much sweetness it was. It was very good. But it was definitely very also strong. And when you're sitting in a hot bathtub with a strong glass of champagne, you don't sit there for very long or you'll pass out, which I almost did. I was like, oh, it's very hot in here. So I loved it. I loved that the word was there. I didn't even have to think about it. It was just, move the letters and done. Trying to decide which numbers I want to use, the big or the small ones, and I go with the smaller ones. I felt like the pasta square was kind of missing something, so I got out this Amy Tangerine roller date. It's like a sentiments, and I picked out the word delightful and put it on that little embellishment, which is again from the open book collection. And I'm just going to stick it down. Do I use a pop dot? No, I just stick it right on there. I didn't want the dimensionals to get too high. This is going to be the biggest or the most voluminous dimensional. So at the top of the champagne bottle, We're going to call it champagne, guys. We're just going to call it that. But at the top of the bottle was this piece that held the bottle down. And I knew that I wanted to use it kind of like a flare button. So here's how I do that when I have to add, when I want to put a flare on that is has a gap like that between itself and the paper, and it's rounded. So first I'll take my pop dot, I take the sticker off, I take the sticker off both sides. I put glossy accents and I stick that part to the bottle cap. Then I take another pop dot, and I stick it to that one. So you can see that, and I don't take the sticker off until I'm like really ready to put it on the page, the back sticker. So now it's just a little bit past the bottle, and I know it's going to stick to the paper without being too high. I'm starting to commit now. I have my glue out, so you know I'm committing. I take my striped paper and I just rolled the edges just so it didn't look so boring, and give it a little dimension. Make sure my letters and my words are the correct direction, because we all know how good I am about making sure that happens. I never glue anything upside down, ever. I do all the time. Let's get real. Yeah, and then now what am I deciding? Oh, yeah, I'm really committing. I'm like I'm going to start gluing stuff down. I'm happy with everything. So what you're seeing, in order to take myself around the picture, I have a stripe that goes down. So I always start in my left corner. The stripe takes you down towards the pasta. And then there's going to be an embellishment that's going to take you across to the champagne bottle picture, and embellishments to take you back up to the card at the top right. So what am I going to do here? I'm going to journal. I have no idea what I wrote. Something about having a great time with my friend Leah, and having a good time with my parents and my folks, and relaxing before my time gets a little crazy. I really wish I had the layout in front of me. I really don't. I apologize. My desk, I finally cleaned my desk, but unfortunately I stuck a bunch of stuff in front of it, and this is like the only 15 minutes I have to record this. But yeah, it was just simple journaling. I just wanted to write something basic. I didn't want to get too deep. I mean, once you start to get to my age, a birthday is a birthday is a birthday. I think I wrote so grateful at the end, because I was very grateful to have a quiet minute to myself. The little circle that you see on there, I think it says take note. Right under where it says birthday, you can see the little the circular flare. And I love that I have the birthday flare, and then that circle, and then the other circle, so they all kind of take you around the page. What am I do now? Oh yeah, I didn't want to write 36th birthday. I want to write 36th. So I got some alpha stickers from the dollar section at Michael's that I have just laying around, and I love the color. They were perfect with this. Again, I really wanted this to have a lot of color, and I started out going in this direction, and then I was like, oh, it looks so awkward because it's not lining up with the flare, so I just turn it. And again, that helps to complete. You'll see once I have everything else on there, it kind of completes the trip around the square, of the squares around the page. Just gluing them down. I always use glue with my thickers. I don't trust letters. I say this in every video. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust the glue on the back of them, or the glue on the back of flare, or the glue on the back of anything. I have to glue it again. I've opened too many books and found all of my embellishments at the bottom of pages and had to re-glue things. So now I just glue from the jump. I love this tab, again, from the open book collection, and I'm going to cut it in half. And I kind of wish I'd cut it a little bit smaller, because it didn't really fit as far underneath the picture as I would have liked. And, once I get my glue on, I'm like, well, forget it. American Crafts twine from my stash, and I'm just going to add this little bit. It's a blue color. It's not necessarily the same blue that's all over the layout, but again, I wanted a lot of fun colors, again, to keep it very festive. I felt like it worked well with it. It didn't necessarily have to be matchy-matchy. Here I'm just writing my favorite calamari, because I've tried calamari at almost every single restaurant I've ever eaten at, and that's the best. Deciding if I'm going to write anything else. I'm like, no. I have these cute little sticko stickers. I think you saw them when I did the brag book. If you haven't seen that video, you can go back a few videos. It's in the Make This With Me series. And I love the cupcakes. I was like, I thought about the third one, but the third one had brown in it, and I didn't really have brown on the layout. So I was like, I'll save it for later. But one is pink and one is blue, and I thought, oh, how cute. And again, it takes you up the page. And I just wanted to put a little something extra in that corner because it was looking a little empty up there. And now I'm just going to fill with my sugar dots from, I think I got these last spring. in the seasonal section at Michael's. And I have them in 3 different colors, like 2 shades of blue and a shade of pink. And I'm just going to sprinkle them around the page, 3 of each color. And then that's pretty much going to complete the layout. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching and following. There's definitely going to be more Make This With Me projects and more layout shares. And I'm really excited for the year coming up. Okay, here's some slow down pictures, slow down video, so you can see the close up. Now you can see if you pause, you can read my journaling. And yeah, thank you so much again. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.